This is Weird Renegade Witches blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done. You already know I'm going to say go to the website. I can't again say click on any energies or blog talk radio. However, just go over there and take a look. Of course, you'll see the phone number there because you already know that wayward is about that revenge, redemption, responsibility, that spell work. Currently I'm doing the one-on-one monthly lessons, and of course I'm working with my people that I work with every week, every day, working closely with energies, with individuals, and understand when I'm working one-on-one, that is separate from doing work. Okay. However, I just want to do hopefully a quick video because people forwarded over some energies that they want me to talk about, like immediate, and hopefully this will be quick. But I just wanted to address something because I know some of you Bible thumping hoes have a little bit of an energy out there of me saying Lord is woman and God is man. And of course, I'm getting people that said God is real. Of course, God is real. Of course, because the woman created him. So, God the Father, you have to understand God the Father is the creator of things. Okay? So if that's a creator of things, that is not the creator of human life or life force. That is different. The Lord, who is woman, and this is according to Genesis, okay? The Lord, the woman, created God the Father to create things. So that's why we call him a man, amen. We call him Elohim, Elohim, whatever. Him, he, that's what she created out of her clitoris, out of whatever spiritual frequencies. That's the fucking what's up. Whereas the Lord of woman, again, is a creator of human life and creator of life force. Life force meaning animals, ducks, whatever. Anything with life force, anything that repopulates. Okay? However, understand Christ is the supernatural frequency. That's the energies that I was talking about with woman, where I was saying, hey, was Mary really Christ? Okay, so that is Christ the spirit, Christ the supernatural, where compared to, as we call maybe Jesus the Christ, however you want to say it, Jesus the Christ is the practice of flow showing, doing too much, being an imposter, stealing people's energy, and monopolizing, like Lucifer, prideful, doing too much. So however you want to look at it, but it's only according to the word, right? So let's understand that. What is also very interesting is the study of Judges. And I started thinking about, what's his name? Deion Sanders, Mimi Foss, LeVar Ball. And it talks about in so many words of in Judges of how cutting off the limbs shows an entity in the spirit and the frequency of being a slave, basically bowing down, basically sacrificing yourself. And you heard me say Mimi Foss because on the, from Love and Hip Hop, because I guess apparently she had her feet, whatever, some kind of foot surgery. But LeVar Ball and got some things amputated, and we already know Deion Sanders, and you probably can go research many other frequencies. So we got to be careful of how we understand these frequencies out here, because they are truly using the word to connect with these people that you see on social media, in the entertainment world, and so on. Also, we have to be careful of the frequencies of which part of, if you're going to follow the Bible thumping bullshit or the works or so on, and it's telling you over here to build an altar, but then you may hear maybe somewhere else those are idols, you have to understand those are different frequencies of the Bible. Those are different energies, and you follow whatever you want to follow. Okay? That's bottom line. You may get some that say wear shoes on your feet. You may read a verse that say don't just walk with your bare feet. You may get something in the energies that say that's idolizing. And you'll get something over here that say sacrifice and put on the altar. You see what I mean? And it's not, so we have to get out of the confusion and understand each energy is for a certain frequency in what you want to be under and follow. Like, that's why I was talking about yesterday when I was listening to this Guyanese woman who has, I guess, an herb shop in Brooklyn. And she was on the frequency of all you need is this and that. And you just need one candle. You just need this. And you should never walk barefoot. You can't tell people who may have different spiritual backgrounds and cultures what not to do. Because the spirit may tell them walk barefoot everywhere you go. But it's sad because everybody tries to be the grand poobah. Everybody tries to be the expert. But if you follow what the spirit says, no one is an expert. I'm just talking. Oh boy. Somebody wants me to talk about Sloan Bella. I hate talking about that Sloan Bella, the CIA agent and whatever, because Sloan Bella has a following. And her following reminds me of back in the energies when people start to aggressively attack you over a person. Okay? And I'm not saying what it is. I'm not saying what it ain't. I didn't even know who in the fuck she was until people pointed her out and say, hey, can you speak on some of the energy she's talking about? I wouldn't give a fuck if somebody speak on what I'm speaking about, because it doesn't mean they're right, doesn't mean they're wrong. It's just their perception, right? And so some of you niggas out there be like, but she's this and she's that, she's this and she's that. I'm going to tell you again. If anytime you're pumped up like that, you better believe there's some kind of government behind you. You best believe. Okay? Anyways. So I guess apparently she did a reading on Vanity, aka Denise Matthews, aka Vanity 6, Prince Protege, The Last Dragon, the Croquet Chick, going under Renaissance. However, I really didn't understand the reading of her. In so many words, I was to understand from the person who forwarded over the energies to me that she was saying that under the chart in her reading, that in so many words, because she was talking in air and fire language, that she started out in demonic energies and ended with Christianity. And now that she went through Christianity, she's at peace. And I said, oh, all right. And I understand that Sloan Bella kind of went into a little bit of a background of Vanity. I'm going to call her what the energies are. Charts, tarot cards is basically a practical measure to read. And it is a very practical energy. It is to give you an easy read, but to control the mechanisms of you by putting a person in a category. The world of tarot is out of control because there's so many ways you can read, but there's so many energies you can pull. And you have to understand, when you're doing a lot of this tarot work, you're sacrificing yourself for a read. And you have to hope you're not reading from the air of the meantime and not the real time. Some of you guys sit around and throw tarots on people who you watch. And when you watch them, you believe what you see. Tarot is never meant to be the truth teller. Okay? Or the truth receiver. It's just a quick read and a quick piece of work that you can use using tarot. Charts are falsified. It's like IFA. They read your numbers and then have it in a book. They control your whole destiny by the time you were born, from your horoscope, your astrology, or whatever you want to call it. I understand that Sloan Bella calls herself the master astrologer. The only how you can become a master astrologer is if you're under the people who created it. Because nobody is the master of anything, especially if you led by the Spirit. No judgment. I just have to look at it for what it is. When I'm learning Sloan Bella and her readings, especially who she calls celebrities, that means something. That means those souls about to be soul mounted on something or someone else or summoned. Okay? It is very odd that I'm going to call her who she is, Vanity, was uprooted. And I was like, that's suspicious. Because there's some bodies that you can't go back to and do readings on. You can't go back to and just do medium work unless there's something else going on with that body and the soul of the frequencies, right? So when I just kind of heard the beginning, I didn't go through it all. Chart, that was enough for me. Let me say this. In understanding these energies of what she was saying, it didn't sound like to me, and I'm not in judgment of discernment and spoken from the Spirit. It sounds like it was spoken from the chart. It sounds like a tarot and chart is what spoke to her, but not of discernment of the Spirit or the entity. Because the way she lived is the way she died. Her whole life is falsified. Especially when they said she's Canadian. I said, when you go back to Vanity 6, you could clearly see there's some Indian. But they make up family. They make up parents. And then when she moved to Fremont, which is in the Bay Area, which we call it the South Bay, that's a whole bunch of Indians. That's an Indian environment. When she died, it stated that she left, and we're going to say her fortune, to the church. Sound very Craig Mack to me. Sound very cult-like to me. Because basically, she is entertainment property. Just like state property, she is entertainment property. Because if she was really about it, and about that Christianity, it would never be televised. That means she was still under contract. When I heard Sloan Bella say she's not a you would think she's a Scorpio, but she's a Capricorn. And I found that so interesting, right? Because in reality, they had her under the two sex energies, Sag and Scorpio. And they ended her in Cancer, not in Capricorn. She allegedly had kidney issues. She had kidney failure. Why wouldn't she not have been able to get kidney surgery? A donor. Because she is an insurance policy. Right? When Vanity 6 came out, you could clearly see the energies that she was under. The grind, the Aries, the frequency, the nastiness. You could see the animal. I don't even see human. Bestiality. The bestiality is what created her. Not a chart, not numbers, not tarot. The bestiality. And she played her part in the Bible. How can a person be at peace when they're stuck in Revelations? They had her under the energies of vanity. Created the harlot. And then pulled her under Jezebel, which is in Revelations. And she's been stuck there ever since, even in death. And for her voice to arise back up, that means they're about to bring her back up. She's stuck in the same place as Pope Francis. This is above y'all pay grade. You guys want charts and this and that and this and that. No charts can read this because this is all about spirit. This is about frequency here. You fuck around with people's horoscopes and then plant shit on top of them. Talking about she's a Capricorn, but you pulled her into third house. Ain't about no fucking 8th house and this house, and this is not the time for Aquarius shit. This is bestiality. And no chart can read that shit. Fuck Greek mythology. Fuck Egyptian mythology. Fuck all of that number shit. Fuck them planets, because them planets are not real. What we see is different from what is behind. She came from the underworld. And she's stuck between the afterlife and afterworld. She does not want to go into the afterworld because that's forever. But she wants to come back in the afterlife. And these people know they can bring that energy back. So they tell you all this tarot shit, tarot, medium, astrology, da-da-da-da. When it comes down to, you don't know where in the fuck her body is. She might have sacrificed her fucking organ. When they get to talking about these people, they're summoning them. And that means it's about to be a return. It's on the same lines. Someone forwarded over some energies to me. Of people who look alike. They have Angela Bassett. They got Kiki Palmer looking like Angela Bassett. Regina King looking like Michelle Obama. And I don't know, this one rubs me the wrong way. Sanena Lathan, is something about her. I don't know her energy. Looking like Felicia Rashad. Shaka Khan and Nicki Minaj. Janet Jackson and Haley Bailey. And we already know this energy. What's her name? Tiana Taylor looking like Dionne Warwick. Intentionally. They have people intentionally in practical frequencies already in place for when those people shut down. The underworld, afterlife, and underworld. Some people assume because people die, they're at peace. She might have said that on her deathbed, but it doesn't mean that where her energy goes, her spirit goes, her soul goes, that is in peace. Because she's stuck in revelations. Because she died to come back. That's why Sloan Bella's talking about her. What are they about to do with this new energy of vanity? That's what I'm learning. There's no judgment with no fucking Sloan Bella. I'm just looking at the works of her. And I'm looking at what is behind her. And I'm looking at, oh, they're about to summon in a root and necromancy. See what they're doing is a whole bunch of necromancy right now. Because they are restructuring. Because these people out here don't have any talent and no personality. So all they're doing is necromancy to soul mount. They think they're indoor. They're doing a whole bunch of witchcraft. What Sloan Bella was talking about was witchcraft. It's a redo. It's a summoning, and it's a witchcraft. You should never get no fake ass chart done. And they tell you all this ascending and all that bullshit. You just soul mounted other energies. You just became part of a cult. And when I was listening to everything that she was saying, I was like, what the fucks? She's not at peace. She's stuck. She went to the underworld, and now she's stuck in between two life forces. And when they're stuck in between two life forces, it's easy to summon them and start to pull energy and soul mount. And the reading that you guys want from me is not what I'm going to give, because I'm not going to judge what's her name? Sloan Bella. Because I know what that is. Because you cannot do medium work in cyber magic. The cyber world. She's giving that's cyber. But the realities of it is a behind the scenes summoning and necromancy. And what I'm reading behind what the fuck Sloan Bella is saying is Vanity is about to uproot and uprise again. And she's going to be mounted on something else. See, what you guys don't get is where Sloan Bella going, like as if she got into Christianity and pleaded the blood of Jesus, and Jesus made her whole. You mean the Christ Jesus? The flow shower? You mean when she was up in church trying to sing and praise the Lord in front of the cameras, being interviewed about her Christianity? That one? Mm-mm. Couldn't be that one. Because the blood didn't serve any purposes. Because the blood didn't make her whole. She died due to kidney failure. Because she was praising the wrong spirit, the wrong entity, the wrong deity, the wrong God, the wrong Lord. She pleaded the wrong thing. She was still property. She was still in front of the world. So when these people tell you someone is at peace, that is not true. What blood are you pleading when you don't know if it's supposed to be a man or a woman? What blood? What blood can a man give you and you whole? And you bleed and you a woman? Because the woman don't need the blood. The man do, but the woman doesn't. She don't need to be made clean and whole. Cause she could be made whole. Cause she is whole. When you do the right thing and put yourself in position and know who the Lord is and know who God is. and understand the positions. But when you're practicing in the New Testament only, you stuck in Revelations. This is above y'all pay grade. So then you start to do witchcraft to manipulate the frequencies, to enforce that is unspirited. That's why we have so many backsliders. Because you really don't know what healing is. You think healing is an affirmation and tarot cards and getting your chart together. On Google Daggers, it says she's Polish and black. I said, she looked like a straight Indian to me. So did the other girl from the group. She got intertwined in those Indian spirits. She became a cockabine, huh? That's why her soul was under the energies of bestiality, animal magnetism. Yes, they need her to come back. But not pulling her from the horoscope of Capricorn. They're pulling her from the horoscope of Cancer. Because they're done with the Sag and the Scorpio. It's not about numbers. It's not about any of this. It's not about no charts. It's not about tarot. Not about medium work. It's about the truth. There is no good and evil. Nobody's good. Nobody's evil. But let me confuse you more. You are good. You are evil. Which one are you? An evil man could be good for the meantime until he gets you in the real time. What's the difference? Nobody can live good. No one on this earth is perfect. That's why back in the day they would tell you, because you are such a motherfucking sinner, you gotta go do communion. You gotta go plead the blood. Because we are thy will. Thy will be done. Her will was done. She thought she was going to live as Cain and come back as Abel. Isn't that funny with Christianity? So you never take an account for the bullshit you've done. You never live in it. That's why I said she sacrificed her kidney for fame. She called her a celebrity. Vanity is old school. That's considered a star or famous. Even kind of an underscore. Celebrities are for what's happening today. Vanity got cut down and blacklisted. Did we forget that? Did we forget how Prince threw that ass away? And the industry threw her away? And then she went to Jesus before they smuttered her out like a motherfucker? The problem was she wanted it to continue. But she was so smutted out, it was nothing else to her anymore, but they still kept her on contract. They'll say, just join the church. We'll peep you from time to time. So when Sloan Bella talking about she's not Scorpio anymore, she's Scorpio. She was Scorpio to the day she died. And her Scorpio was battling with the Cancer. But they want to name her Capricorn, but you didn't treat her like one. So you're going to pull the spirit of the Cancer to reinvent. So that means there's someone in line who's a Capricorn. Okay. When you make a deal with the devil would never let you go. The devil owns you to the day you motherfucking die. Because the devil know your weaknesses. It's similar to the devil's advocate. It always find your weaknesses. And as much as you think you're doing the right thing, the devil finds something else about you and rides on that motherfucking shit. So there's no good or evil, evil or good. Once you sign that contract, whatever it is, bitch, you are owned. And you walk around this earth like Lucifer. You could summon whatever motherfucking demons you want to summon and think those demons are going to protect you. But there's nothing stronger than the devil. When you give your life over. No charts. No medium. The devil laughs at that. Even for Vanity to come up now, that's still a deal with the devil. People out here talking about that crazy ass unbanned segregation bill that suppose of the likes of Trump signed an executive order of something that does not even make sense. Talking about contractors. What is it? Contractors can build or mix segregated energies, that shit is made up. We need to see the original. That sound like some made up shit. You know what that sound like to me? That sound like to me that they didn't sat up and they're going to hire Ukrainians and Russians and probably some Chinese to build some shit. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like to me, like in them foreign countries, like somewhere like, Africa and whatever, how them Chinese built their own shit and say that you can't come in. Or Ukrainians don't want to be bothered with colored people. So let me get this straight with you people. Because I was seeing some shit in the comments. Mexicans talk about that Mexicans and all these other people talking about that they want to come together with black people and talk about that they ride with black people. Let me tell you something. Black people are not colored, honey. You Mexicans, you Chinese, you Asians, you Middle Easterns, you whatever, you're colored. You biracials, even more considered colored. I'm not colored. My children are not colored. That's the trick. Black people have never been colored. We are melanated. We're black nationalists. Whatever you want to call yourself, but we are not motherfucking colored. Colored is for you. Indians, whatever, you're colored. So that's not directed to us. And furthermore, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. That sounds so illogical. But it would make sense for the job force. It would make sense. Like they were talking about in Jamaica, how they hired a whole bunch of Chinese out of nowhere to build this hotel. But then mixed in the Chinese, it looked like some Latino people. This is witchcraft. It's bewitchery. It's cyber magic. They're telling you what it is. They're writing what it is, but they're not showing you the original bill or whatever it was originally. What they're trying to tell us is we can't sue racist ass Ukrainians. They've been on some racist ass shit. It has nothing to do with motherfucking DEI. It is a bunch of bullshit and bewitchery. And they are having their KKK cloaks hiding shit behind this. And crazy black people are not peeping this shit. I don't know what type of cyber games is going on here that you black people don't see that DEI is a whole bunch of bullshit. They're just hiding behind their discriminatory racism, and we better look behind who in the fuck is it? Who in the fuck is it? And you will be fucking surprised. It is some damn Indians. I'm just talking. Allegedly. Or a woman. Some people who you would never think that's behind this shit. You will sooner realize this shit ain't got even nothing to do with Elon Musk. It's all a scam. You will see that you'll be like, is it Russia? What's happening? Who did America sell themselves to? They played a game with black people, took away segregation, minded our business, fucked up our neighborhoods, threw in drugs and shit in the neighborhood. Then we up there integrating. They then sat up and learned our whole culture, our foundation, our religion, our foods, our clothing, our music, our dance. Now our sons are being with their women, all the above. Then the audacity to come in and fuck up the education. So we're going to fuck up schools. So now we're going to defund, of course, colleges. Because I told you the funky shit that was going on there. So now they have the audacity to be like, okay, now let's have segregation again. And black people are like, what? But I live in suburb. Wait a minute, huh? Wait a minute, what? Because it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the new scope of people that they have coming here. And the word is colored. We are not colored. They're talking about something else. And we should ask, I want the original. I want to see what the original look like, because they're telling you what they want you to know. Then you're getting black people out here talking about, I don't mind being segregated. No, can you segregate white women with dreadlocks away from Africa and stop trying to turn them people into Christianity to praise their white God? Can you stop white people from adopting black children and killing them and making them slaves? Matter of fact, can you stop white people here in America from even adopting the African children, especially the Ethiopians, and using them for political energies? And then dropping them off into some kind of Jamaica school, and then the kids are abused, acting like the kids don't even exist? Who is that? The senator or governor of Kentucky who did that? Is it Bevin? Could we talk about that family in Chicago called the Silver family, who went and sent their kid to some school and the kid ended up dying? And she up there talk about, when he came from Ethiopia, he had rickets and he was malnourished and so abused. Oh my God, he loved Michael Jackson. He just loved everything. But he started having some problems, so I sent him somewhere to this school, and then now he's a dead. Could we have had segregation before those lesbians, those white lesbians, sat up and had that group home and killed all them black kids? What? Could we start there? I'm just asking questions. Because you guys forget, a couple of years back, they had talked about segregation when white folks started saying that they didn't want to live around black people. Did we forget about that? And that whole energy that is nasty to use washcloths? Did we forget about that whole movement? How in the fuck could Trump even think about some shit like that? And this nigga was whole friends with Shabba Ranks. This energy that they pushing is not Trump. And I don't care what they have in the comments. I know the mega motherfuckers is like, what? This is a bunch of bullshit and games. It is a distraction. That DEI removing black people from different sites, but then putting back the Indian, meaning the imposter Native American, talking about some kind of talker, and then removing black energy from the military cemeteries. What's happening here? But here's my question to black people, whatever you want to call yourselves. Where's the fight? Where's the argument? Where's the protests? What's happening? Where's the letters? You're not saying shit. But if it was dealing with some motherfucking gay issues, your ass would be rolling around to fucking Capitol Hill. You got something to say then. You have no questions on what this shit is? What the fuck did he sign? What was it? And talking about federally. What are you talking about federally? What are they talking about? has something to do with the lesbian and gay community? Nobody's asking what this shit is. Everybody's talking about it and trying to cause this trauma energy, but nobody is wondering what the fuck it is. What is the original? And why wasn't it banished? I mean, it doesn't make sense. You can't make it make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, then I don't know what it is. Stonehenge. You got white folks upset because black people claiming that they built Stonehenge. Black people did. And it is true. They keep trying to base it off a book. It ain't based off a book. It's truth. Before white folks came over there to Europe, let alone England, it was black. And the Stonehenge started in Africa first, or the place, I'm going to call it Ethiopia because I hate the word Africa now. Central and South America. And it was an energy. And England was the last place where it was basically put together. Some people believe aliens, but for sure it was melanated people that put it together. Now apparently they're there now on, I guess, solstice, and I don't know, it's supposed to be spring solstice, but I'm a little confused because it says the next one is in June. So they're over there now. But I know that Africa is supposed to be coming up with theirs. Yeah, Stonehenge is black. What the fuck is that bullshit with them goddamn astronauts? How did they fit up in that little thing? How did they know where in the fuck they were going to land? How come that woman, her roots were gray, and the man, his beard was in full? Then when they land, her roots are done. And then the facial structure, somebody pointed out to me, was different with the woman. Because she aged 10 years. The man looked better than her. How did all them 4 people get in the damn... Wait a minute, what's happening here? That's an illusion. Remember I said, are they underwater? But then they ended up in... And then those white air balloons, isn't that familiar what was going on in the air like a year or 2 ago? They just think we stupid, don't they? An astronaut lady was talking about that they get their regular pay, including $4 a day. They're trying to say that these people are going to get paid really well. Why did they call it a splashdown? How come the man looked better than the woman? He looks youthful. That's bewitchery. That's witchcraft. And it sounded fake. I said, what the fuck? Didn't they just say, wait a minute, Elon Musk said, wait a minute, they said that they can't get to them. Then how did they get to them? Wait a minute, how did them 4 people fit in there? Wait a minute, what happened to those other people? I only saw 2 come out. But then when wait a minute, how did they get the fuck up out there? Wait a minute, what happened here? Wait, what? They've been gone for 9 months. What the fuck? Then who took care of the family? Who paid the big... Wait a minute, what's happening here? That's as baffling as the segregation energy, huh? Just hilarious, right? So people want me to talk about Just Hilarious. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to say about Just Hilarious? She's an influencer who signed a deal with the devil. She shouldn't have got pregnant. She shouldn't have went on pregnant leave. She begged for the job, didn't she? They didn't want her. They did not want her. Did we forget about that? And she cut up on social media. And then they gave it to her. And then I said, what did Jess Hilarious expect? She acts like Kevin Hart. It's not her energy. They sit around, they go to these neighborhoods and cities called the double and have the double Dutch bus and tell them to get on and say, well, let's drive to Hollywood. So they went to fucking Baltimore, well, Maryland, and said, Jess, get on the double Dutch bus. We're going to make you a star. She said, okay. Then they started her out. But she did not have the respect in the industry. They feel that she did not work the chitlin circus. I mean, just the chitlin circuit. She didn't start from the bottom. And she got something through whining. So therefore, her contract, she's like pointing at her contract saying, this other woman is not supposed to be in my place. I'm back from maternity leave. Now move out of my space. No, it is the Breakfast Club. This is how they're looking at it. It is under our entity, and you created this idea under our entity. So therefore it is ours. However, unless it says in her contract that whatsoever, I'm just paraphrasing, whatsoever that she creates under the Breakfast Club or entities of iHeart, what she comes in with is what she leaves with. Does it say that in the contract? However, the Breakfast Club better be careful because she could sue you for discrimination for maternity or pregnancy because you're bringing up the fact that she, in so many words and innuendos, that due to her being pregnant is why this is happening, which it could go to the left. Unless there's a clause in the contract that says she cannot get pregnant in this amount of years. If there's not a clause and you guys are harassing that girl with that type of spell work, the Breakfast Club and iHeart entities and whosoever could be in trouble federally. So it depends what that contract says. However, you have to remember that this person they call Jess Hilarious and her frequencies, she is working in the spirit of Aquarius Leo. So she then flipped out of the Aquarius into a Leo. And Leos deal with social media and frequencies. And she's trying to get a mass backup behind social media. Meanwhile, you're dealing with old school niggas called Envy and Charlemagne. Okay, like we could have handled this in a different way because we already know the what's up with Envy and the damn, real estate shit. And we understand the energies with Charlemagne, and they said, shit, we don't give a fuck what social media talk about because they're not going to fuck up our coins. Now, you can play the game with them fucking up your coins. So, therefore, that's why Charlemagne didn't have a lot to say, but he was kind of the mediator because they had to get Envy to get with Jess Hilarious because they are horoscopically each other's equal. And that would make sense. Because Charlemagne would have to stay out of it because they got to go at each other. Because their energies match. Then you have another Cancer entity called Corey Holcomb getting involved in the energy, talking shit also. Because I think he had a big issue with Tiffany Haddish saying that she was not on the chitlin circuit. And then you have gay people out here talking about he need to be quiet because he need to go on with his boyfriend, T.S. Madison, and I'm not being rude. That's just what they saying, allegedly. So the bottom line is what happened to her. For me, it looked like a whole game to me. And she signed up for the devil. She signed up for the devil. Now we're going to be a little lame and we're going to say Illuminati. She signed up for it. And she got what she got. And when you sign up for them things, that's what happens. And the bottom line is that it might be a situation where she just used up. They didn't got what they needed from her, the energies and so on. Now let's throw her over here. Let's throw her back in on social media. That's where she want to be. That's where she will be. That's where it is. But less Black people look at the lesson. Contracts is spell work. It's a difference. You have Envy and Charlemagne that's on earth. You have Jess Hilarious in air doing cyber. Envy and Charlemagne are playing games with her because they saying on earth, this is what it says. But she's like, but no, in the cyber world is this. That's the game. Don't sit up and sign these deals and then once it doesn't go your way or it's not what you wanted it to be or what you didn't think it was going to be, or they flipped the script on you, don't start using cyber magic now. But that's what she's doing, and the funny thing is that it's flipping on her because they don't like her. I would get my ass off of social media. She needs a public relation person, because if I was her public relation, I'd be like, girl, don't you get on that social media. Because the more she does that and they say, well, we don't like her, it gives them an opportunity to push her out. And then they'll pay her out of her contract. And then she's blacklisted. Or she just sacrificed, whatever it is. So, social media is very fickle, and people try to go to social media because, again, it had a lot of power and esteem. But at this point, it doesn't have the same esteem because it's not powered by the same people anymore. They don't give a fuck anymore. They got who they needed out. Like, I'm ready to leave the country to go where hell Marilyn Manson is. He playing in a whole other country. They clowned him in this country and blacklisted him here. He's somewhere else. It's like that. Who's that? That Kai kid. And he was at what's it called? Rolling Loud. And I forgot who that white kid is who's demonic. And he was all in his feelings because the dude was all demonic. Well, you signed up for that. Then my son talk about, well, he's a Christian. What you talking about he's a Christian? What the fuck y'all signing up for? Jess Hilarious is mad because she's getting Hollywood. That's a lesson. Social media is only used in a certain way now to give you an illusion, right? It's like this. I'm going to give you guys this information because you guys playing with me. You guys up there arguing me down, telling we in argument about that baton energy, right? We in argument. We in argument. I'm tired of y'all arguing with me. I'm going to find this man. Where is he? Here it is. Y'all going to hear me out. Look up. I think it's Come Diane Trey Elliott. So look up COMEDIANTRAYELLIOT on Instagram. And it's going to look, I hate to show his face, but I just need you guys to look. Well, And it's going to say track incident may have been an accident. I just want you, if you guys have Instagram, just go look at it. Okay? And the other energy was me talking about, what's it called? The Yekup people. And I was talking about the Nation of Islam being connected to Scientology. I'm going to suggest that you guys do some research on that because it is known. And I think you forgot, isn't that where also Riza Islam kind of came from, Scientology? And I think you guys forgot a couple of years ago when Farrakhan announced, and when it was in the media, that Scientology and the Nation of Islam was merging together. Okay? Then it was an energy of me talking about satanic energies, or as they may call it. Look, study Farrakhan from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. That was a very interesting time for him. And check out especially his speeches during the 70s and 80s when he's sitting at the desk in total MK Ultra, throwing hand signals. Try to look up, because I see you guys have to see it to believe it. And I'm going to leave it right there. Anyway, I found something very interesting. I was listening to this energy about Jim Jones. And Jim Jones was talking about how Mona Scott was his manager, right? So anyway, he was talking about, I'm sure you guys seen it, where he said he was the creator and had the template for Love and Hip Hop. I said, that sounds, I believe he's a Cancer. That would make sense. However, Mona Scott was his manager. So anyway, he was talking about how Chrissy was supposed to have her own energy, but it fell through. So they were supposed to go to a meeting, I guess, to VH1. I don't know. Chrissy couldn't make it. I don't know what was going on, but I think she was hoping that Mona would support him. Now, where I'm confused at is where Jim Jones said that it basically, in so many words, walking in, it was his idea, but it left out with Mona Scott being the producer. And I was like, wait a minute, where in the hell was Jim Jones? Was he not in the facility? Was he not in there? Then I got kind of, angry with what I heard. I said, that's fucked up. I know what that is. So I started looking at her horoscope, and she's an Aquarius, and she's Haitian. And I will assume that Jim Jones is something, because his mother seemed like she has some energies. Then my whole thing is, well, I'm all in a business. I was like, well, was Chrissy involved in this deal? But then I had to go back. I said, maybe that's why Chrissy was always whooping people ass and shit. Maybe that's why her and Yandy were at it, because Mona Scott and Yandy are in frequencies together, right? I said, oh, that's like hella dirty. And I'm like, well, can he sue? What can happen? What did he sign? But then I started to kind of peep him. I'm not being rude. I said, he's not very smart. Because then I started thinking of his mom, and I remember when she had, I remember looking at their show, and the mother went and wrote the words, she spelled the word psychotic wrong. And I think Chrissy was like, it's wrong, right? And I knew right then and there. I said, well, maybe Jim Jones and his mama can't read. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe he didn't understand the contract. Something happened. How did that happen? Then I started thinking about myself, right? And I started thinking about initially when Wayward first started. I remember when somebody's tried to, how can I say, sneaky exclude me out of Wayward, where this person went online on this app called Kick and started to create a new energy, basically under the energies of Wayward, under the likes of Wayward, with some new chick named, so I think the girl was named Kimmy. And I found out about it. And I was like, bitch. So, I'm just saying, you have to be smarter than that in business. Because these people out here. But when I heard that with Jim Jones, I said, there's something, but somebody else pointed out to me that they're saying Jim Jones is acting like Irv Gotti. I found that interesting. And I said, I'm gonna look at that. But that energy with Mona Scott really got me. But then I started thinking, and I was discussing it with somebody, right? I was discussing with a spiritual constituent who's a Scorpio. And I was saying, yeah, I'm like, I believe Chrissy might be Cuban. I said, but I don't understand why she wasn't there with him. I said, it's very clear, and I'm not being rude, but I'm rude. It's very clear she's the smart one out the crew. But people keep talking about her background because she stole some dope dealer money. I'm like, well, what it is, what it is, what it ain't, what it ain't. Then I had to think about it, even though I talk shit. I said, that's some shit I would probably do, and allegedly. But I'm just like, damn. But obviously, I think Chrissy is smart. I think she's more of the businesswoman. And I believe her and Jim Jones was under contract. And that's why she was probably with him for that period of time. But he need help. Then I started thinking, I said, well, was she in it with Mona? I said, no. I said, but a Taurus would. That's a whole franchise. And I don't like Mona Scott. I don't like her energy. I don't like Yandy's either. Mona Scott and Yandy reminds me of people who does underground shit. And all them people we seeing on Love and Hip Hop are just people who are mules and prostitutes. Allegedly. And they're covering up the energies by the music industry or whatever. Saucy Santana is just being sold so they could just watch it, be like, I want him. I want Bambi. We don't think that was interesting shit with Mimi False? And did you hear that fucking Stevie J? That nigga need a whole spell work on top of him. He needs a whole spell work. He was raised by his father. He has a hatred towards women. I am so sick and tired of him throwing shit at Eve. I said he already embarrassed her by putting out that big ass dildo shit. Because I was like, how in the fuck did that fit up in there? But let me get no, he wrong. But how did that fit up in there? What the fuck? But I was wrong as fuck. But I'm still wondering, how did that fit up in there like that? He wrong for that. He should not have even put that shit out on that woman. And then he had the audacity to say that he taught her how to take a bath in Epsom salt. I said, what kind of nigga is this? And you know what y'all keep saying about him. I seen that shit he did with Faith. I said, he's scary business. That's some spell work. And he's still clowning after that girl is married to that white man. And what's going on with Willie Brown of San Francisco? We know today is his birthday. But what they about to do with Willie Brown? Did you hear about that story with that woman and she's supposed to have been in California? She went on a family visit, and what they're going to do is they're going to probably disband and not have any more family visits. Which, hey, I can't talk. My mama went on a family visit. Shit, I was created on one. Don't judge me. This woman named Stephanie Dowles, she seemed like she's third world. Apparently, she went to go visit this man that then killed 4 motherfuckers back in 1993, and he has a life sentence +1. And I've never heard of the prison, but supposedly it's in Southern California. So I guess they got married, and she been married to him and trying to lift him up and help him, Sarah, all this fucking time. And apparently he allegedly choked the fuck out of her, and it happened in November. And I said, that doesn't make sense, because there's usually guards and shit around. And if you and I don't know if it's changed, but I think they usually have you like, well, when I was growing up, it was like a mobile home or whatever, but I'm sure it's changed now. But there's motherfuckers watching you there. And I think at one time it was, thought it was 2 days. I don't know. I don't remember. But just to say all that, that's a fucked up whole story. What in a sacrifice was that? And I was like, why would she go marry a murderer? Matter of fact, what is he even doing having visits? No judgment. But he killed 4 people. What's happening? What's the background? What's the energy? Was he protecting himself? Or was he just killing niggas? I just have questions. Then the spiritual constituents was telling me about Chicago had a Black engineer conference, and she has her graduate PhD, well, the person who went, and this is supposed to be a conference of networking and getting into companies and so on, Black people getting into companies, so not DEI, bitch, but people who are educated and qualified and have their degrees in engineering. She said it was full of shit and it was a bust. And they're having another one in Maryland. And they're having another conference for anybody for textiles. If you're interested in textiles, a textile conference. Come on, Black people. We got to do better. They out here playing games with us, right? This person that they call Kanye West, what's going on with him? He done sat up and called Jay-Z's kids tarded, aka retarded. At least somebody told the goddamn truth, allegedly. Kim Kardashian cut her daughter's visit with Kanye short when she heard Andrew Tate would be there. Oh, bullshit. And what about the rest of Kanye? Matter of fact, they need to stop with this story, because they know that's not fucking Kanye West, and so does Kim Kardashian shit. And what is with this new Donna Karan deodorant that everybody talking about that Young Miami is wearing? Donna Karan should have been out since the fucking 90s. What kind of spell work is that? Anyway. Oh, here it is. White Republican governor abandons adopted son at abusive troubled teen camp in Jamaica. His name is Matt Bevin. Look up that story. Then also look up the story is out of Chicago, and the woman, the young man name is Baruch, Biruks, allegedly. And the mother name is Katie Silvers. And he was killed. It's the same scenario of these white people adopting children and then they end up fucked up. Yeah. And even I'm going to go back to the segregation energy. The wording is off. Segregation no longer banned in government contracts as Trump rips up 60-year-old order. Could we see this? What you mean for contractors? When did they build? I'm trying to understand. When did contractors in America build a separate energy for colored people? Now, there's been issues of building things or building communities and ousting, but could this be explained? I need to see what this is because that doesn't make sense to me. After recent change made by Trump administration, the federal government no longer prohibits contracts from having segregated restaurants, waiting rooms, and drinking fountains. Doesn't this sound like Africa? Doesn't this sound like there is these new motherfuckers coming here? They really trying to create the United States for these new people. Like as if we don't exist. And I'm a little curious on why more black people are not talking about this. Where's your conscious community? Why aren't they talking about it? What's happening? Where are you guys at? Black people, black excellence. Doesn't this fit the energies of colleges? Of the whole DEI and the affirmative action and civil rights? They don't want you going to their colleges. Just take your ass to the HBCUs then. You too, you damn Mexicans. We're going to stop playing talk racism, talk racist. Talk for what it is. Anyway, this is Weird Renegade Witches Blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done.